today we're going to be looking into the history of Christmas and see how it became a Christian tradition versus all the non-Christian traditions that came around the same time and predated the birth of Christ. So what is the actual meaning of the word Christmas anyways? The etymology of Christmas can be broken down into Christ and Mass. Christ meaning Jesus Christ of Nazareth, and Mass meaning a group of people. So ultimately, Christmas means a festival of Christ. But where does that actual tradition come from? Surely it must predate the birth of Christ in some way. And in fact it does. Originally it centers around the winter solstice. The winter solstice being around December 21st in our modern calendar. And there are a bunch of different winter solstice celebrations around the globe, which we will go into in a different video. But for now, we're just looking at more the origins of Christmas itself and kind of where that came from. So we start out with the idea of having a solstice there already, the winter solstice in December. And then if we look at in Scandinavia, we had things like Yule, where they would they would drag a big log out of the woods and they would light it on fire. The log could burn between 1 and 2 weeks, and they would basically party for as long as this log burned. And it also coincided with the fact that they didn't really want to keep the livestock around to keep feeding them for the rest of the winter. It was a big drain on resources. So they would kill off the livestock they didn't need, and then they would have all this excess meat to feast on. So they had fermented wine and beer and then a bunch of extra meat, so they would just have all these feasts around the winter solstice. Now in Iran and Rome, they would celebrate a god called Mithra, a sun god. But more specifically in Iran and the Persian Empire, they would celebrate Mithra, and this would involve bringing gifts to the emperor and giving gifts to each other. And something else, this was very specifically on December 25th, so it was kind of thought of as the birth of the sun god. And the birth of the sun god was on December 25th. So the fact that the Mithra already had a festival going on the 25th made it easy for the Pope to come in and kind of start inserting that as a Christian holiday. And the easiest way to insert that would have been to say, hey, our favorite guy, Jesus, was also born on this day. You guys should start celebrating him. And eventually that propagated over into Rome. Rome had a big hold on the world at that point, and so anything that was propagated in a lot of these Eastern countries propagated over into Rome, and then if it got into Rome, it would have likely gotten into the rest of the world eventually. So it was a very clever idea for them to kind of steal this already existing birth holiday in December and insert their own guy. So that was good. Well, I say good. That was smart. So yeah, that's kind of the origins of the word Christmas and where Christmas holiday came from and being around December 25th. Jesus wasn't born on that day specifically, and they speculate he was born in the spring, but definitely not midwinter. And I did start looking into the history of Christmas throughout like Western civilization and all of the United States and all of that. But ultimately, I kind of wanted to dig into the origins of the word Christmas and its etymology and not through all of its history necessarily. So we're going to call it here. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.